All right, so I wanted to provide a fresh update on how to survive the COVID-19 quarantine. There's been lightning speed changes as far as funding and bailout programs go with the federal government and the Small Business Administration. So I wanted to kind of walk through some of those and update this guide for you so that you can have the latest updates available. Please remember, I'm just a commercial real estate broker, not a attorney or a CPA. So for legal advice, please consult with your attorney, and for financial advice, please speak with your financial advisor accordingly. So many businesses, as everyone knows, are facing very significant challenges. As I said in a previous post, the most important thing you need to do, though, is to take action immediately. In addition to this video post, I've also created a pretty extensive blog post that provides links to all of the resources I'm going to talk about in this presentation for you. So just, I know it can be overwhelming at times. I know we all have a lot on our minds, but some things are more important than others. And when it comes to the survival of your business, acting as quickly as you can is really a vital step to take. As I mentioned, the SBA has some pretty incredible funding options out there. The Payment Protection Program, or PPP, is probably one of the most intriguing in my mind for a variety of reasons. Mainly is that if you keep your employees employed, you can have the loan forgiven at the end of the term of the loan. So it's basically free money to keep your most important people, your employees, working for your company. If you go to sba.gov, there's a variety of links there. That's probably the best page to start at, because they might be offering new information and new links, and some of the old links might change. So I would recommend starting there. Having said that, in the blog post, I do include more specific links and resources. Tip number 2 would be to ask for rent abatement from your landlord. That is free rent. It's basically a way for you to freeze your rent payment for the next month or two. For a period of time that you think would work for you. In exchange for getting free rent from your landlord, it'd probably be in your best interest to offer to extend your lease by an equivalent amount of time. This way your landlord doesn't lose throughout this either, because you're going to have to win and they're going to have to win. They have a lender to pay with their mortgage payments that rely on your lease income. So you can maintain the lease value that you have with your landlord by extending your lease to make up for the time that you're asking for free for right now. In my mind, that's probably the best win-win situation. I mentioned the PPP program. A portion of that actually can be allocated towards your commercial lease rent, your utilities, as well as mortgage interest. So in addition to asking for free rent and extending your lease, you might also be able to negotiate with your landlord that as you receive this funding, you can start sending it to them for rent and utilities. Again, I'm trying to find win-wins here, because we all need to work together to get through this. It wasn't the business owner's fault or the commercial property owner's fault or the lender's fault that the coronavirus took off the way it did. So I think if everyone works to try to accommodate each other, with the final backstop being the federal government and the trillions of dollars they're flooding into the market, we should be able to survive this as best we can. Tip 3, another way to save money would be to talk to your utility providers and other vendors for discounts. This could include internet service, phone service, janitorial service. Even credit card companies are offering to freeze interest, to waive late fees, and in some cases may even extend your deadline for making payments. So I would reach out to them as well. A lot of small business owners use credit cards for various reasons. You may as well look to save money in every way that you can. Tip 4, if your lease is coming due in the next several months, or even a year, or potentially a little bit longer than that, if you're happy with where you are and you feel like you're in the right location and you plan to exercise an option or stay in place in the same location anyways, now could be a great time to renegotiate that. It's kind of similar to the free rent I mentioned before, but if you're renegotiating your lease or signing a new lease for a longer term, say 3 to 5 years, you should be able to get some free rent on the front end of that new lease, and that would also help you get through this short-term instability that we have. Tip 5, this could be a very effective plan for you if you own your business and the real estate that your business operates out of. You can do something called a sale leaseback, which basically you sell your property to an investor and then agree to lease the same property back for a period of time. The investor is happy with that because they have a good credit tenant. Everyone, I think, believes we're going to get through this hopefully soon. It can't be lasting forever. So coming out of this, they would have a good tenant in a long-term lease. Where it benefits you is you'd get a large cash infusion from selling your property right now, and you can use that for any shortfalls you have, or potentially even acquisitions or other opportunities you might see out there that you don't have the money for currently. That might be a way to free up extra cash to pursue opportunities in a time of difficulty. A lot of, when we look back at past economic turmoil situations, a lot of people made smart moves when everyone else was down, and they saw opportunities and jumped on them. So if you need cash to do that and you think a sale leaseback might be the way to do that, I can certainly give you more details on how to pursue that scenario. Excuse me. If you're a service-based business, you own a restaurant, bar, or gym, or a facility like that, they were the first ones to get kind of shut down before everyone was. They might be the last to come out too, once they start to lift some of the restrictions. So I think it's really important that I'm sure you've already started doing this, but it's important that you find different ways to deliver your food and drinks if you're a bar or a restaurant, if you're a gym or a facility that offers in-person gatherings, if there's a way to stream that online. I know some of my gym owner friends have started streaming their fitness classes online, and they've actually had a lot of success. Because everyone's in the same situation, it's a competitive advantage to have the same classes you used to go to online. And I think it's good for social interaction as well. That's one of the challenges we're facing right now is restaurants, bars, gyms, things like that are places we would go to have social interaction and see others and exchange stories and things like that. And we can do that through Zoom. One of the ideas I've had for restaurants and bars is to potentially offer your services to neighborhoods with food delivery. Maybe you could have referral programs or incentives that the more households that sign up for food delivery from your restaurant, maybe there's some discounts you could offer. Some bars and restaurants are actually selling their raw food directly to homeowners as meal kits. The grocery stores and some of those locations are sometimes out of things because of their distribution system, whereas restaurants and bars have different distribution systems and may still hold access to some of the things people want. And if you have those things, that might be a great way to open the discussion about selling directly to residents. If you are in a business where you feel like no one's going to buy what you sell over the next couple months, are there ways that you can pivot into other segments? One of my fraternity brothers owns a company that they would make costumes for mascots, like Bucky Badger type things, where it's a full body costume, and they quickly shifted into making masks and gowns and face shields and things that are in desperate need right now. If you're a business that can recalibrate and offer different types of products that are in high demand right now, consider doing that. The same may be true with services. Maybe there's a unique skill set that you can offer where you can offer new services now. Speaking of that, Zoom's become my new best friend. I think it has for a lot of business owners. It's still a great way for us to connect and see each other face to face in a way, and share laughter and share our ups and downs and things like that. It's still a great way to connect. You might have ways to offer your services through Zoom meetings, through group conferencing. One of my coaches actually said he's mailing packets of the Starbucks via coffee to people, and saying in the letter, when you receive this, let's have coffee together. And he's setting up virtual meetings and still buying people coffee that way. So I thought that was a pretty cool way to still connect and have a nice gesture of starting up a conversation that way. I think it's a time where we just have to think creatively like that, think of different ways we can still connect with people. So that's my update for you. Like I said on the blog post of this, which is even more extensive than this, it goes in a lot more detail and shares links to all of those government programs that I mentioned in the beginning. Some of them are quite powerful, and many of them offer basically free money if you follow the programs correctly. And if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want free money. So be sure to check that out, and feel free to connect with me anytime. Thanks.